Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.
Welcome into Room 442. I'm Sarah Pararia, and now joining me is special guest of ESPN España. It's journalist Rodrigo Fáez. Rodrigo, thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure to once again speak with you, especially with everything going on in La Liga these past 2 weeks.
My pleasure, Sarah. I'm more than welcome to be here.
I'm happy to hear. Okay, let's get right into it because last week I was talking to you and you were actually at the press conference with La Liga's president, Javier Tebas. Can you tell me how that went? Obviously, I've read over the weekend some things that have come through, but what was the overall environment going into that press conference, kind of knowing how serious everything has been following
Um,
everything that happened, with Vinicius Jr.?
for me, the main headline of the press conference is that Javier Tebas is taking this racism issue with Vinicius a lot. Very serious for the first time. I'm not gonna say for the really first time, but this is like the first time that I really see Spain in general, not only Javier Tebas and La Liga, but also the clubs and even the supporters to take this racism issue so serious. Because in the past we've been with Iñaki Williams, with Eto, with Dani Alves, and the reaction was completely different than in this case, because I think that Vinicius, that we all know that is the victim of all this issue, is the first player to say, okay, you are the main to blame. And he was pointed out, the supporters, and he has been complaining about these racist chance during all the season long. And I think that Javier Tebas, is taking this so serious. And the other thing that for me is really important is that Javier Tebas said for the first time ever that La Liga is the only member to try to be for Vinicius in this case. And Real Madrid was like, with the hand style, like doing nothing. And he said it like maybe 2-3 times during that press conference, and that really surprised all the people here in Spain.
Yeah, I think there's another issue for La Liga in total is that the other leagues now, in England, in maybe Portugal, Germany, wherever it may be, are now looking at La Liga in a very bad light. As you mentioned, all those previous players, as somebody who watches La Liga, you know that this has been an ongoing issue. But now, because Vinicius has challenged Javier Tebas and La Liga and the Federation, it's really coming to light and he's really putting the blame on them. But how do you think it's going for La Liga overall, knowing that they're not looking so good right now in the world of football?
Oh, well, yeah, they are a bit wary about this international image that not only La Liga but also Spain as a country is showing with this racism issue. I think it's something that worry a lot Javier Tebas because just what you mentioned. Now it's not only La Liga at the top of the worldwide leagues. Is also you can find Premier League or even Serie A. That now, if you see the Italian teams are growing a lot in these European championships, or it doesn't really matter if you talk about Champions League or Europe League. They are in semifinals, finals, and they are growing a lot in the past 2-3 years. So that is why La Liga is a bit worried about that. They are at the same time quite confident because when you talk with my sources, they always reply the same. Okay, we are La Liga, we have Madrid, we have Barcelona, we still have great players. All the big ones, they want to come here, like Mbappe, like Haaland in the near future, or Real Madrid is about to sign Jude Bellingham from Borussia Dortmund. So they are worried, but at the same time a bit calm down because they know that it's a matter of time to take La Liga back at the first spot of the worldwide leagues at the in the near future. So they're worried about that image overall.
Do you think the fine that Valencia received, as well as the closure of, one of their stands in the stadium at the Mestalla, do you think this sent a message as well to other supporters and other teams in La Liga? Because this is really the first big step that I can remember that La Liga is actually enforcing, okay, we got to, make a change here. Something has to happen.
For me, that fine is mandatory because if you don't do nothing, all the people are gonna say, "Okay, we get a." I mean, we can insult Vinicius and we get a, use the racism to try to take him out of any game, and this is for free. So I
Mhm.
think, and I understand all the Valencia supporters that they were complaining about La Liga. They were complaining about why they are the first ones to be fined, and even though the Valencia is struggling and trying to avoid the relegation. But I think we all agree in Spain that this is something mandatory for everyone. First of all, because you can't admit that kind of behavior from the fans, and secondly, because you have to give example to the rest of the countries, not only Spain but all the countries, because you can find racism not only in Spain, but you can find it in Holland, in Belgium, in France, even in England. I mean, we all have the same problem in Europe, because I don't really think that Mestalla is a racist place, and at the same time, I don't think that Spain is a racist country, or Europe is a racist continent. But the thing is that apart from that, you can find racist people inside these places. So that is why, for me, it's an example. It's something that has to be before, and this is like the okay. This is gonna be the first and the last time that we're gonna do this, because we gotta improve this, and let's see if maybe in less than 1 year we can, or we take racist outside of these stadiums, and even from the society.
Okay, so are you quite confident then that this is a step in the right direction then for Spain, and you expect to see change in the future, especially the start of next season?
Well, I hope so. I mean, this is something that we gotta work together, as a journalist, as a part of the society, and even because the players doesn't. I mean, the players don't want to these kind of images anymore. First of all, because they are playing with Vinicius, with Militao, with Dembele in Barcelona, or I mean, we get so many black people working and playing for La Liga, which is something that that really hurt a lot of players, and they don't really enjoy, because we don't have racist players here in Spain. So that is why they want to work, they want to help, they want to be together with the rest of the society to try to avoid racism in Spain and inside the stadiums. So that is why La Liga, I think, is. I mean, La Liga are making a great effort in this case, because they want to clean everything, and they want to improve as a product, trying to get tolerant people above everyone, and try to get these intolerant people outside of the society.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to bring up just from the press conference before we move on as well is that La Liga is not going to pay for goal line technology next season. It seemed like a bit of a shock. What is your take on this? It's just funny to me. I think in such a day and age that this is still something that is not in football, but what do you think about everything?
Well, it's funny when your team is not playing and try to avoid relegation, and you get a goal like that. And I'm mentioning now Espanyol. They just got relegated for second division next year, and they got a goal against Atletico Madrid that we were all like, Is this real a goal?" Or I mean, if you don't have it clear, why you point it out? I mean, this is something really strange. To be honest, this is something that could happen maybe once or maybe twice every year. So maybe I understand all the clubs to say, okay, we're not going to invest in this because it's a really expensive technology. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you get a lot of millions every single year. I mean, why don't you invest in this just in case? I mean, just in case, because there is something the all the clubs, or at least the clubs in I get sources in, it's like, yeah, but it's a lot of money. Yeah, but imagine that this happens to you, not only to Espanol. I mean, this is crazy. And I am for technology, as I were before for VAR. And, you got to have this. If you're going to be like the top product worldwide, you got to have this just in case.
I think so as well, just because, football isn't the same as it used to be. Like you mentioned, VAR being introduced, all the technology that's being involved in all of Europe, especially when you're competing in Champions League, Europa League, like so many La Liga teams do. And then your domestic league isn't up to par with these other teams. I think it does kind of make it look a little less than the rest of the, European top five football leagues. But this is just my opinion. I'm a bit shocked, but
I agree.
you mentioned Espanyol in terms of relegation and going to the Segunda, but another team I have to bring up, obviously being here in Canada, is Real Valladolid because of Mr. Cyle
Wow.
Larin. My question to you is, he's been fantastic for them since joining. He scored against Barcelona only last week. Of course, it was a penalty, but still, it's massive for him. Do you think that if Valladolid go to the Segunda, that he will maybe have an opportunity to join La Liga team that is still in the top flight, or do you think he will leave? Just Canadians here are very, very happy with the way he's doing in La Liga.
You know that I was in that game and I got the pleasure of interviewing him after the game. And he was so happy. He was like, my God, I just scored against Barcelona. This is a dream come true for me. And I told him, like, okay, but you know why, Larin? And he was like, well, I mean, all the people now loves you. And this is something great for Valladolid. But if finally Valladolid got to Segunda División next year, what are you going to do? And he said, like, okay, I never thought about that. It was really fun for me because now he's like, I'm not gonna say that he is like Ronaldo Nazario now, who's the owner of
Yeah.
Valladolid, but he's a top player, definitely. And he's been, since he arrived to La Liga and especially in Valladolid, he's been like the top player, the kind of player that all the people are watching in this last part of the season, because some clubs and some important clubs are behind him. So I don't know what will be the future for him, because we don't really know if Valladolid are going to avoid relegation. But, if Valladolid can make it, I'm really sure that he will have a lot of big clubs. And doesn't really matter if they're from La Liga or from some other big leagues. That, I mean, he's making a great job and he will have so many offers for sure.
Yeah, it's exciting for Canadian fans, of course, because slowly and slowly, they're growing. Of course, it was
You
Alfonso
got great players
Davies,
in
but
Canada. Huh?
yeah, of course, Steven Eustáquio and Porto, they're slowly starting to really play in the top flight here. And it's really important for not only the national team, but football growing in Canada, especially. So I'm very pleased with it. Let's look back to Real Madrid, though, because there's been a lot of talk since they were knocked out of the Champions League, and the way they were knocked out in the Champions League. Did they have a failure of a season? When you look back and you think Real Madrid, they lost the league to Barcelona. They have the Copa, okay, but this is Real Madrid, and now they're getting knocked out of the Champions League really poorly to Manchester City. How do you look at the season as a whole?
Overall, I think Real Madrid have made I don't know, maybe a 6.5 out of 10 season. I mean, for me, it's like the note that I will, or the grades for Real Madrid this season, because yeah, they got to qualify for semifinals in the UEFA Champions League, which is something incredible, and not all the clubs in Europe can make it. And I think we get to give credit to them because of that. But apart from that, I mean, Copa del Rey is not enough for Real Madrid. And what they did in La Liga this season so far is a disaster. First of all, because they are used to at least be at the top of the table, trying to fight against Barcelona, trying to get the trophy, the final trophy. But when you are looking back at what happened in this season, and I understand that the Qatar 2022 World Cup didn't make it really well or didn't work really well for Real Madrid, because I think it conditioned a lot the players' performances, because before Qatar, they were like, okay, we're not gonna be 100% just in case I get injured and I'm not gonna be able to get with my national team to Qatar. And after that, all the big players from Real Madrid, they said, okay, once Qatar is over, now I'm gonna be back here with Real Madrid. But it's not enough for Real Madrid, because when you are not at 100% during the whole season, you're gonna fail in some part of the year. So that is why Real Madrid, for me, I mean, they didn't really perform the way that all the people expected, because if you compare this Real Madrid to last year's Real Madrid, it's almost the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got almost the same players, it's like, what happened here? We don't have to blame 100% Qatar 2022, because this is only 1 month and a half in the whole year. We got to blame, for example, the lack of replacements for Benzema or as the left back. We remember that this year in Real Madrid, the best left back has been Camavinga, who is not a left back. So that is why, for me, it's a 6.5 because of that Copa del Rey, and because they got, till those UEFA Champions League semifinals. But the rest of the season has been a great fail, because they got to work and they got to move on in this summer window transfer to try to get any new signings and try to improve, because what we saw this season is not enough for them.
Yeah, well, Jude Bellingham is a good way to start the summer signings. He's
Yeah, not bad.
fantastic. Is Benzema going to stay or go? What do you think?
It's a difficult one. I think he's gonna stay. I think he's gonna stay
I think he should
because
stay one more year at least.
yeah, at least one more, because why do you? I mean, are you gonna change Real Madrid for Saudi Arabia League? And I gotta be really respectful with what they are doing in Saudi Arabia, but it's not the same. And I think that even Benzema, as an individual player, I think he's more than able to play for Real Madrid at least one more year at the highest level. And I remember one of the sources that I got at Real Madrid, that he told me that even Benzema 2 months ago, while they were talking about, okay, are we gonna try to renew my contract or whatever, he said, okay, I'm gonna renew this contract because they got everything talked, but I need a replacement. And now Real Madrid has signed, he's going to sign Joselu from Espanyol on a loan, 1 year loan. And it's like, okay, Benzema, you got everything. I mean, what you asked us for, you're going to have it, because now you get a replacement for Mariano. You're going to have another striker. So so you don't have to force in some parts of the season. You're going to rotate. You're going to get some rest, much more than this year. So, I mean, I didn't find it like really interesting for him to leave Real Madrid now, because he's more than able to be one more year of Real Madrid at his top level. So, I mean, let's see what he finally decides, but I think he's going to stay.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, last question. It has to be, we're talking about Saudi Arabia. Messi.
Yeah.
Every day I wake up, I read the news, something different. We know he's in the streets of Barcelona now. We've seen the news. Now they're saying Barcelona haven't, given him an offer. Messi doesn't want to wait. Do you think, just your feeling, Messi is going to come back to Barcelona? I think I asked you this last time too, but it's been continuously going on and on.
I mean, I want Messi to be back in Barcelona and in La Liga, because I think he's a really interesting player for everyone here. But I find it really difficult. First of all, because Barcelona has offered La Liga a viability plan due to those financial issues that they are having now in Barcelona. And La Liga is going to say, okay, yeah, I mean, we want Messi back here because he's a top player still. And we all know that Barcelona is his home. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you want to get Messi for maybe 1-2 years as much. But what for? I mean, what do you need to sacrifice for getting Messi back to Barcelona? And I understand that if you put it in a balance, you're gonna be okay. Maybe you gotta sell 2, even 3 players, and not all the players would leave Barcelona. I remember all the people in the last month saying here in Barcelona that, okay, no, we're gonna sell Rafinha. Okay, have you asked Rafinha if he wants to leave? No, well, and then Rafinha said in an interview that he wanted to stay because he's not going to change Barcelona Beach for Newcastle. I mean, they don't want to know what the sun is in Newcastle, and you got the beach, you got the sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and it's not easy for all the Barca players to leave Barcelona. And now the Barcelona as a project are growing a lot. So, for me, as an opinion, I think they are trying hard to get Leo Messi back, but it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting next couple weeks as we all have our eyes on what's going on in La Liga. But Rodrigo, Fáez, thank you so much. One more week of La Liga this weekend, and afterwards, I hope you can get so much rest and enjoy some vacation. But we will see what happens in the final week of La Liga. Will Cyle Larin and Real Valladolid stay up? We'll find out.
Bye.
Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.